Hey Sophie, how are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Doing great. So, I mean, the obvious question is always like with a show where you are in water for an extended period of time, how miserable was it? But there is also so many kind of aspects on this show because not only that, but then there's the pregnancy and then there's the detective story. And what did you find the most difficult to try, kind of navigate in a show like After the Flood?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah, it was fascinating to work with the water on that scale, like you said, which the big stunt sequences were great because you're so taken care of. There's such a plan in place. But actually it was the rain sequences that were really hard when it was as simple as there was two blokes on really tall ladders with hoses. They would just get us really wet with the water, and you'd sort of look up at them just before you went for a take and they'd say, oh, sorry. And then you'd get drenched. And for water to read on camera, it has to be really heavy. So that required quite a lot of stamina that I'm not really used to doing. My characters are often in nose dresses, sitting down, having conversations. So that was an interesting element to it that required kind of adapting to. But yeah, actually, I think the pregnancy for me held the kind of the most or needed the most focus, but remembering how it feels at different times of pregnancy and what my experience of pregnancy is different to Joe's experience of pregnancy and what she's physically capable of, and how to kind of implement that in the scene and how it would drive things emotionally. And so that was the kind of the day-to-day focus, I think. And then the murder mystery element takes care of itself with the scripts. They're so fun. You've just got to play the truth of that. But yeah, it was the pregnancy, I think, and it was putting on the fake bump every morning and going, okay, so how's she feeling today? How's her lower back today, and how's that affecting her mood? And but it was, yeah, you're right, there is so many layers to it, and I think that's what made it a really interesting proposition for me to want to do, and I think is what makes it a really interesting show, because it's slightly more elevated than what we're used to seeing in that kind of format. So yeah, it was good fun to add all those layers together.
Yeah, and it is nice too to see, you know, a pregnant woman doing all of this because most of the time they're like, no, you're off the clock. You got to go sit over there and like push papers. But she's in
100%.
the thick of it a lot of this. Was it important for you to like make her a character that is not defined by the fact that she was going to be a mother and making her someone who she is going to be in the thick of these cases? She's going to be in the water trying to save people, even though she probably shouldn't be.
Yeah, and I think that was an integral kind of part of her journey from the beginning, that she is aware that she's pregnant and she doesn't require anyone to treat her differently. It's the people around her that are making assumptions about what she can and can't do and how she is or isn't feeling. And I think that was really smart of the team to kind of to build that into it, because that is really relatable, I think, for anyone that has been pregnant. You become this kind of vehicle for this baby that's due, and people forget that you're a person as well, and that you get to dictate what you can and can't do. You get to tell people what is and isn't possible. So yeah, I think it was built into the script how people treated her, and then it was kind of my job as the actress playing her, who had recently been pregnant. I wasn't pregnant at the time, but I had been pregnant recently, to kind of, well, I was given a lot of space by the men in the team to tell them what that feels like, and they were brilliant. Actually, our director Az is brilliant, and all the people on the floor would say, okay, anyone who has been pregnant, you tell us what that is like. So they were really good at listening, I think, which is not always the case. So it was a pleasant surprise.
I love that. And now I'm just picturing you actually pregnant, running in the water and being like, that would have just made it that much better.
I
Adding to
know.
the
I this is my point that kept coming back to. I was like, I'm a very different person to Joe, because Joe runs into the floodwater. I'd have been like, ooh, someone's gonna have to go and save that baby. I need a biscuit.
I'll watch, I'll supervise. So
Yeah, exactly. You're doing a good job.
thank you so much for talking to me. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait for everyone to get to see the show.
Oh, lovely to talk to you.
Thank you. Have a great one.
Bye.